What's up, guys? Clutch Mac Thurston here. As you can see, got a haircut. But that's not the point of this video. Today we're going to do the part 2 of the 3-part ECD Hero Mesh review. So for this one, part 2 review is going to be ECD Hero Mesh for StringKing 2S, just because I find StringKing 2S to be the softest of the StringKing line, obviously, and then ECD Hero Mesh is relatively soft as well. So for that test, we got 2 brand new optic U's. This one is all StringKing materials. The black sidewalls, black nylon, black bottom string. Everything here is StringKing 2S and StringKing materials. That way we can test the materials against each other. What are you doing, buddy? So, same pocket pattern. First hole is top string, second hole, tie on, skip knot, skip 2, do a knot, skip this hole, do a knot, and then a 1, 1, and then skip this hole, do 2, skip the bottom hole, 1 on the bottom. I decided to tie all the knots off with knots because that keeps it the tightest, and that way I can get these test results to be as close as possible without having them shift, or we're going to see if the sidewall strings loosen and whatnot. So for the second one, same thing, brand new optic U, all ECD Hero Mesh and Hero strings, same pocket. This one's all white. For here, I used the end of one of my ECD Hero strings, shooting strings, just to make sure that, you know, everything's ECD Hero Mesh theme. So basically we're going to go outside. Both these heads are going to be screwed on to this exact union shaft. That way I get the same test results, and we'll go from there. Alright, so first up, got the ECD Hero Mesh optic U. Just going to try and hit generic spot on the wall for about 10-15 passes to get her dialed in. Then we're going to submerge it in water and see what happens. There it is. Alright, so as you can see, it was relatively in the same area. Majority of them hit the same brick I was aiming for. A couple here and there that kind of missed, but it's got a bucket of water here. So let's plop her in. Submerge the whole pocket. Go for like a couple more seconds. So, if you look closely, definitely notice a little bit of water in it, but not a whole lot. Definitely does feel wet. Obviously, it's not going to push the water away from it. It just kind of doesn't affect the mesh. So, now let's see if I can go for that same spot. Do a couple passes, get dialed in, then see where we go. Alrighty, well, as you guys can see, I'm only like, I'd say 8 yards away from my brick. But ECD Hero Mesh doesn't seem like it's affected from water too much. So we're going to do a couple more passes, see if it changes at all after I, spin the ball around a bit, see what we can do. So as you can see with that final round, after I got most of the water off, it's pretty consistent. It hit exactly where I was aiming, just about the whole time. Sidewalls, as you can see, didn't look like they moved at all. Shooting string looks to be about the same for the bottom. So now we're going to see how fast it dries. Just going to leave it out here in the sun. Got my phone over here timing it, and we'll get to the StringKing. Alright, so now got the StringKing 2S optic U up on the same union shaft. Got my other head drying over there. So let's just do 10-15 passes like before. Try to get it dialed in on the right place, and then we'll see what the water does. Alright, so as you can see, I mean, relatively all in the same area. There were a couple passes, a couple more passes I feel that were a bit inconsistent with the other ones. So, here we go. Alright, so right after doing that, I mean, yeah, same thing. It feels like it absorbed the water, but feel it closely, I mean, there's no water beads just sticking on the mesh. So let's see how well this does with some water. Oh, nope. So as you can see, a majority of those, I'd say get like 60% where I was in, the other 40% a little off. A couple of them went way too high, some went way too low. So let's try and get a little less water in this and keep going. Alright, so as you can see that towards the end they were going a little higher than where I wanted them. So, not too sure how I feel about StringKing and StringKing's materials right now, but sidewalls, same thing, look just as tight as they were before. Bomb strings, same thing. So now we're going to take this off and let it dry and then do it again. Alright, so now we got the Hero Mesh let dry for approximately 20 minutes. When you touch the pocket, it feels almost like it's practically dry. There's still a little bit of wetness to it, especially with the shooting string since it's probably a majority cotton. But we're going to see how accurate it is after it dries for a little bit. So let's just try to hit the same spot again as always. There it is, right there. Alright, so as you can see, after the first 2 or 3 getting her back dialed in, pretty much hit the same spot almost the whole time. So I'm really impressed with how that is. So next thing we're going to do, once again, submerge this bad boy in water, but then we're going to use a brand new ball, so it's going to be kind of like, I don't know, let's say you're playing in a super rainy game, and 10 seconds left, shot goes out of bounds, you just go up with the ball, your stick is soaking wet. Will you be the hero? Let's find out. Like I said, perfectly submerged, right out, going to about 10 passes. See how well this works if it was brand new ball, 10 seconds on the line. Wow. So, I mean, as you can see, that was pretty accurate. So it's soaking wet, brand new grippy ball. I get to hit the same spot just about every time. So now we're going to do the same thing with StringKing, see how that holds up, and then we should be good. Alright, so we got the same thing here with the StringKing, approximately 20 minutes. It does feel a little bit more wet, but it's relatively pretty dry. The cotton shooting string does feel a little soaked. Shooting cord, not so much. So let's get her dialed in. We're going to do the same thing. So, oh, Wasn't as good as I thought, but let's do a couple more. There we go. Alright, well, let's submerge her in the water, post a picture on Instagram real quick while it's in the water, and then use a brand new ball. Alright, so back to the brand new ball. It's got a little bit of grass on it. Clean that off. Alright, let's see what it does when it's soaking wet and you got a brand new ball. Well, there's that for you. Second pass went a little too high and flew over the fence. I think we know what that means. Alright guys, so as you can see from doing all that outside, Hero Mesh seemed to be just a bit more consistent, at least in my opinion. If you watch the video you may have different opinions, but I feel that ECD Hero Mesh was a bit more consistent when it was dry, when it was wet, between using the same ball, and then between getting it wet and then using a brand new ball. So I mean, this stuff's really blown me away. The shooting string, they're pretty much both perfectly dry now, and they're both, I think, cotton based, or at least the nylon feels like it, which is also pretty crazy. Pocket stayed the same, none of the knots bagged or anything. Another thing that I like about this is even when it's wet, if you do this and just kind of feel the mesh, you can feel the, kind of the grittiness, kind of the feel to it, which I think is really cool. So it still adds a bit more grip, even when it's soaking wet. And also this stuff dried in I'd say 20 minutes, which is relatively fast for mesh, or at least fastest I've ever time drying mesh. So ECD Hero Mesh is 25 grams. It's a little bit thinner than StringKing, so I'm not exactly sure how well a shooting string versus a sidewall string would hold up for the bottom to see if it rips. But we'll try that for review 3. So definitely check out jimmelax.com or eastcoastdyes.com, or just pretty much anywhere to pick up your ECD Hero Mesh. I live in Colorado, so it just makes more sense for me to go through Jimmelax's in Arizona just because I get it faster. So yeah. So far, I think ECD Hero Mesh is a bit more consistent than StringKing. Not only that, 25 grams, $20 for white and colors. It makes perfect sense to me. StringKing, still love the mesh. I'm still definitely going to use some here and there. I still have an abundance of it to string up in sticks, but after 20 minutes, it still feels a little wet when you do this. I mean, you can kind of feel it. I'd say almost as much as the ECD Hero Mesh, but after being soaked, it just feels like it's a bit thicker, a bit heavier. It feels like it's just kind of holding onto the water a bit more. But same thing. I mean, it blew me away too how the sidewalls didn't change. The pocket did, I'd say, shrink just a very, very small amount. I'm not sure if that's because the diamond sizes are like 16.8 versus 17.5 or whatever they are. Still love StringKing, but in my personal opinion, I think when it comes to consistency in water, ECD Hero Mesh might be the way to go. I'm also a huge fan of it because it is a semi-soft mesh, and it's very soft, which adds a bit more give. But we'll be reviewing that in the third and final review of ECD Hero Mesh, and that will be testing the durability between the two, as well as the shots and everything. So hopefully you guys stay tuned. Like I said, definitely check out Jimmelax, ECD Hero Mesh, StringKing, all those guys. So thanks for watching. I don't know how to end